Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Coaches Preview Show. Big showdown tonight between the Franklin Rebels and the Independence Eagles. Both of you guys are coming off a big win. Coach Blade, big win off Hillsboro to move you to 2-2. Coach Webb got the first win of the year against McGavick. Here's an interesting nugget I found, Coach Webb. Your opponents combined are 14-2. I don't know that you could have seen that when you were scheduling. Coach Blade, on the other hand, coming in this year, you knew that was hard to schedule. You look at this, and as it's playing out, you know, McGavick was undefeated. You come in, you beat them 34-7. Talk a little bit about the McGavick game.
Well, the main thing is we were able to run the football and get our running game going. If you look at stats, the jet sweep in today's football, because we're passing it forward, is considered a pass. Right. So I'm sure Carter would like to keep it as a pass stat, but we always push it back to a running stat in our own team, and it was over 300 yards rushing when you put in the jet sweeps. And if we're able to get parts of the option going, then I think we can get our inside game coming back. And that was what was the best part, especially with all the dial-up blitzes they were doing every down and different type things in there.
Well, you look at this year's record, Brentwood 14-10. We all know Brentwood right now is currently ranked in the 6A level, 5th in the state. Very close game. That's an old-school rivalry game right there. Riverdale right now also 4-0. Ravenwood, who would ever thought, right? You know, the Raptors coming in, kind of the question mark of 6A because Matt Daniels and his group, they're sitting at 3-1. I mean, McGavick comes in 3-0. So it's not been an easy game thus far. And you know, as you go through 6A, there's not an easy game any night.
No, and there's more coming. I mean, so it's but it should be about us trying to become a better football team. I do see spots where I think we're getting better. Our decision-making was not very good in the first couple of games, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and especially when you're starting at where the football begins, at the quarterback center exchange, and then from there, our decision-making was good. But we, for the most part, have hung in there defensively and kept the games close. And without a doubt, our most valuable, if you want to put it, player right now has been our punter. He's really made football teams have to move the football because he's given us he's come through with some big punts and moved the field position.
And Franklin's had some good punters in the past. Corey Fantoni right now playing for Missouri, one of the nation's leading punters. Speaking of good punters, Coach Blade, I think your punter's kind of, I don't know if you want to call it going on the radar, but I have been extremely pleased watching him punt. That kid can punt. Tell us a little bit about your punter.
Yeah, Kyle Greenwell. He's a 4-year young man in our program. And he's a weight room guy. You look at him and he looks like a linebacker, but with great flexibility. And he's a self-made guy. He's a guy that's just worked and worked and worked, and he's got an incredible leg. We've seen him in practice hit it 60, 70 yards. I mean, he's a Division. We think he's a Division I punter if he gets the right chance. But he's got a heck of a leg, and he's been a heck of a weapon for us.
You can always tell when the ball comes off a foot of somebody that's special. The tight spiral, the hang time, all the things that are necessary to go to that next level. Coach Blade, 2-2. You know, your schedule is pretty easy when we look at it. Oakland, 30. You know, that game we talked about the last time he was on the air. Oakland right now ranked number 1 in the state. Summit, 3-1. Centennial always going to play everybody tough in Region 6A. And you came off a huge win this past week. Hillsboro 49-21. You got to be pleased about that. Your quarterback, Nathan Sisko, 18 for 23, 341 yards, accounted for 5 touchdowns. That's an Independence Eagle quarterback night.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been the biggest story, is that his maturation over the last month and going back really 2 months into the scrimmages, and he's starting to see things. He's starting to get confident. Receivers are starting to gel. Offensive line protection's been better, and we had every snap was manageable. The previous 3 weeks we had 6 to 8 that were on the ground that were the plays were dead before they got started. So that's a, you know, if we're trying to score every 6 to 8 plays, you know, that's a touchdown taken away. So everything has kind of improved last week, but it starts with Sisko and his comfort level, and he had a huge night last week. We broke it down every inch and every part of the play, his play on Monday together, and He did a lot of good things, and a lot of stuff we've been working on is finally starting to, come to fruition, and real proud of him.
Let's talk about that for a minute, if you don't mind. You got two different styles on offense. You like to throw it. You like to run it, the option attack, the ground and pound. We always laugh at that, Dr. Defense. But anyway, I'm curious, when you go into film sessions, Coach Blade, we were talking about off the air, you and Nate Cisco looking at it, when you break it down, how you break it down, what are you looking for, what are you trying to tell your receivers on the routes, what are you telling the quarterbacks to look at, et cetera?
Well, for the quarterbacks, every day we work our route tree. And it starts with quick screens, bubbles, and it works all the way up to go routes and posts. And so it's every day we do that. It's a lot of throwing for the quarterbacks. It's a lot of route running for our receivers. So they're getting in shape to be able to go no huddle and be able to do that just because of the way we practice those things.
And how much is timing involved in that? Because I think in the first
everything.
two games there was some timing off, maybe on
Right,
some routes.
everything. So all of our protection from the offensive line matches up with the quarterback's footwork, matches up with the depth at the running back or the receivers are running at. So if the timing's off, if a snap is bad, it's below his knees or whatever, the timing's completely off for the quarterback's comfort zone. So we're trying to create a comfort zone and a pattern and a repeatable action with the quarterbacks and receivers. So when there's anything that messes that up, that throws things off. But when it's done, when we get the snap on point, we feel like we can get the ball out and get it to the receiver's hands. From a quarterback in film study, we always start from the secondary and work up to the line. So we always start, as a matter of fact, we start with the safeties. We're going to look at some certain things they do, some tendencies they do. We work down to the corners, some body language, some tendencies, some stuff that coaches are trying to teach. So if I'm running a cover 4, it should look, if a coach is coaching it correctly, it should look one of these ways. If I'm doing a cover 3, it should look a couple different ways. A Tampa 2, when Coach was at Franklin with Clayton back when we first met each other in 07, 08, he ran a 4-3 cover 2. And those corners were pressed, and they were physical. And the safeties were downhill, but the corner play was different to what they're doing now, and now they've gone to a 3-4 base. They've backed off their corners. So different things over the years, over the last 10 years I've known Coach. So it's the same thing with offensively. You're going to do what's best for your personnel, but trying to study what I know Coach Webb, and he knows me pretty well. What do they do well? What are they trying to take away? Because every single defense is giving up something. And unless you're just bringing the house and you got lockdown corners and safeties everywhere, there's going to be stuff that they're willing to give up, and that's up to us to find out what we're going to try and capitalize on.
So when the ball is snapped, let me ask you this, without giving too much away, obviously. We probably know enough about each other right now that we don't have to.
Yeah.
What the check downs, right? So option 1, option 2, option 3, are you giving the quarterback the freedom to make those choices, obviously given what's on the field?
Absolutely. There's a read progression.
Is there usually an option 1 and then it steps down from there, right?
Yeah, there's a read progression, and he'll tell you this too. It's either short or long if it's a corner, or it's inside out if it's an outside linebacker or a safety. Okay? A lot of plays have a check down in place to counteract a blitz. So yes, there's and then there's some that are off the cut. I mean, that are fire protection, taking the ball, we're getting it out right now, and that's usually between the 5 and 10 yard range, and those are predetermined. So we don't have time to read that. That's a pre-snap read. So, but everything else from 10 yards beyond is going to have a read progression. There's somebody we are reading, and it's usually one side at a time. So we're able to look at, okay, we're running at this play, but it was open on the other side. But he's not concerned about that. We try and simplify it so we're working on half the field at once. In most cases, some of them they do cross over the center for the opposite safety or whatever. But
and this all has to happen. What's your clock? Internal clock in that is what? 2 seconds?
Well,
3 seconds?
So if it's a fire protection, that's take the ball. We want the ball off between 1.5 and 1.7. If the snap is good, that's a fire. That means take the ball and throw it. If we're doing pass protection for 3-step drop or whatever, then our point is 2.5 to 2.8.
And I don't think people understand.
And we time it religiously.
The pressure that these kids have to go through, and the repetition and everything. It's not like Tecmo Bowl up and B and we're going to throw it.
Yeah, and the 7-on-7s during the summer, they usually have 4 seconds. Well, we don't have that in our scheme.
Right.
So, if we're getting that ball off anywhere 3.5 to 4, something has broke down. Something is either pressure has leaked, bad snap, or something has kept us off, and then it's usually not a great thing for us.
Well, Coach Webb, you look at your stats from last week. Matt Gacka, 94 yards. Carter Henry, 73 yards. Rashad Jenkins, 55. 33, 28, 14. It just kind of goes down here. It's spreading the wealth, if you will. Talk a little bit about your offensive schemes and what you're looking at in film study and what you're talking about your guys with, because it's a little different dynamic than.
No, it's really, it's kind of ironic as well. So we go that way.
Yeah.
When you think of it, we're going to start with the line, and then, all right, now who's playing the quarterback? Are they going to try to pinch scrape to play the quarterback, or are they going to sit and play it with a gap scheme? Then it's the secondary, because where Coach Blaze is exactly right. You can only put them so many different ways. If they're either going to be, we talk about being one high or two high. And so if you're one high or two high, you know where they're trying to get the pitch defender out of, or defense,
right.
We'll call it who's got force. And then from there, now our blocking schemes are going to try to change to the way of who we would, because even though he's reading it, he doesn't read all our options, but even though we're reading a lot of them, we're going to try the way you try to block it to dictate who we want to get the ball, and then defensively they're going to are they forcing it out of the quarterback hands?
So when you call the play on an offense, when you're doing one of the option plays, that's purely on the quarterback to read. You're not telling him, hey, we're going to keep this, or you're going to. I mean, it's literally, or is it a set call?
It'll start from a set call.
Okay.
If we're going to read it.
It's a set call. It's a read.
Yes.
Okay. So.
For example, the counter option he can't read because he's reversing out. He can't see the guy we're actually going to eventually pitch off of. Mm-hmm. But the what we call gap option, it's they get mad at me because they want to keep calling it gap. And I go, okay, it's veer option or whatever, because that's what that's what it was when people were in the split back veer years ago. We're veer blocking, so now it's all on him. And exactly where Coach is talking about starting with the tree, well, then you can think where we're starting in practice. We're starting with the mesh, and the read, and then it goes to the progression part of the smaller part of it is towards the tail end of it, which ironically is where we're having to get better. We've got some young kids out there that are in some spots on the perimeter, and Alex Gaka last year, number 5, he caught a lot of touchdowns, and people might say he was missed from wide open post routes because Rossi's running the ball in here is the reason he's wide open. But where he was good was blocking the perimeter, real good at blocking the perimeter because he was physical.
So you look at it, and I may use the wrong term, so forgive me. Finesse, athleticism. And this is from the receiving spot, and now you're looking for more power receivers that have to get out and block to set up the throw later, right? To get the blocking scheme downfield.
That's where we're trying, yes.
So you look at your passing, 6 of 12. It's efficient. It's come down to a play call. Like you said, you had Mitch Rossi. You could get him to bite in, and then all of a sudden you could get the pass open. Have you seen that starting to come open now with Carter Henry or Ginger Nice rather? And his Carter Henry, and Matt Gacka on the rushing part. Is the rushing part from Matt Gacka? Is he technically a receiver, or is he getting the jet sweep?
No, he's the back.
Okay.
He's the back, and we feel like he's beginning to get it and be patient. It was the thing with Mitch that made Mitch so well is he was patient. He would stay in there. And we have moved some people around. Davis Whitehurst is pretty dynamic kid. Right. He can score, and then we probably tried to put a square peg in a circle hole and tried to force him in here because we were trying to get production from there. But you got to be more patient and keep it in there and trust it that the blocks are eventually going to get there. And so that's why you see last week he moved out to more slot type stuff, which is where he's a better player. He's a better player out there, and so it's going to be Matt and Rashad Jenkins on the inside part of it.
Coach Blade, you watch the tape of Franklin, and you get up there and you see their offensive line. Average weight is probably pretty good size. I'd say 250 and maybe north of that. So preparation for the week of trying to get ready for the offensive line, get ready for the schemes that he's talking about. What are you thinking in that kind of realm on the defensive side?
Yeah, we got to try and put hands on them. I mean, like you said, some of the plays have that veer option. I mean, the big guys coming down. If we don't try and slow them down, they'll run over our linebackers. So they're great players. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge to try and squeeze it as tight as we can and still play assignment football out of it. Triple option and being able to do what they do with the quarterback they have. It's similar to the wing T in the fact that you have to have everybody's got an assignment. Everybody's got to wear a gap control defense. Everybody's got a gap. Everybody's got to do their job. If one guy gets picked off or one guy doesn't do his job, it turns into two because that defensive end, if he gets caught up with trying to squeeze the tackle or whatever, he's out of position as well as our linebacker getting clobbered. So yeah, it presents a huge challenge. But Oakland was able, ran that type of stuff as well as Summit. They've got just huge mammoth dudes out there that present us an extra challenge.
Well, Coach Webb, you finished 10-3 last year, 6-1 in 6-6A. Eventually lost to the 6A champions, Whitehaven. Great run last year. We start looking at 6A right now. Brentwood 2-0. Independence right now sitting at 1-0. Centennial's 1-1. Ravenwood's 1-1. Dixon 0-1. And right now you're going for your first region win tonight. I mean, there is no off nights. Now, we can sit here and talk about Dixon all we want, but that's your off night. That's it. And they're capable at any given night, right, to beat anybody. I mean, that's why we play the game to begin with. You look at your schedule. Hendersonville, really good program right now. You still have Centennial in the Battle of Franklin. That's going to be inspired ball from Centennial regardless of what records are. It's going to be a difficult game. Oakland, Spring Hill being a real good 4A team right now with a very dangerous back that they have in Dixon County. So, I mean, your schedule, man, is – who scheduled this last year?
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny how it works out because you could come in, you come in thinking some things, man, we're going to be all right. The Riverdale game is one of those games that you've owned for the last 3 or 4 years. They're having a phenomenal year. Oakland, graduating a lot of people. As Coach Blade has already played Oakland, he knows that it doesn't matter how many they graduate, they still got some dudes there. Coach Blade, but look at your schedule. You still have Brentwood, CPA, Dixon County, Memphis East, Ravenwood. Who also did your schedule for you?
That would be me. Thank you.
I know that we were talking literally a couple weeks before dead period. You didn't have all these games filled. It was having a hard time getting.
Yeah, and it's all of us Centennials. Everybody's got a incredible schedule. So you see teams that maybe are winning games that they haven't played anybody yet, and the good teams are knocking each other's teeth in every week, and you can come out. If you can come out of this schedule, you still got a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. But I do believe, all of us, Williamson County schools, as well as the Rutherford County schools, the schedules are packed. They're loaded.
So let me ask you this: there's two schools of thoughts when you do that, right? So one is, they are kids. We have to keep motivating, even though some of these losses technically could be better for us because we're learning, we're playing really good competition, so we're not worried about that later down the road. Or then there's the other say, I would rather win on an easier game and have their confidence up. What?
Yeah, my thought is, it is what it is. None of us had the option of scheduling other lesser opponents. We all make our own schedules. So yes, there's a double-edged sword there. You got to win enough to keep the kids in it, and you got to keep the kids' mind right. But it's hard. It's hard because the schedule. You want to get through it so that you're positive and your kids are positive if you make the playoffs. But at the same time, it's a gauntlet just to get to the playoffs.
Same question to you, William.
It's going to almost be the same thing. We were all, and then I mean, it is what it is, but the fact that they put us in a 6-team region, so every single one of us was looking for the same dates.
Right.
And that even compounded everything. And
but you can't say you won't be battle tested, both of you, when it comes time.
I'll call it what it is. I mean, on this part, that football team that we beat last week, I'm sorry, but they're probably going to finish possibly third over there on the other side. And so whoever comes out of this thing 1, 2, 3 and scratches in at the 4 is I think I agree can go. I mean, we can lose or win on any single night, but at the same time I think we can have a chance to be successful once it comes if we can keep our kids in it and stay healthy.
That's right.
One of the things that I hate is the fact that somebody out of our group's got to go home. 5 teams, 4 slots. In the past where we were split up, 5A group, 6A group, everybody had an opportunity to go forward. Unfortunately, this year, somebody's got to go home, and man, it is unbelievable. Here we are, you think about it, we are in week 5. I mean, it seems like yesterday we just started. Week 5, and when you start getting into the heart of these region schedules, it's do or die. I mean, you've got to win. You've got to win these region games to even get yourself in position.
Those non-region games are still important too, to keep your kids
Ready
mentally,
correct.
and keep them improving, because like you said, every week is do or die. It has playoff implications.
I mean, like tonight, Centennial plays at Dixon County. I don't foresee any problems there. Dixon County's been outscored 179 points in their first 4 games. But you still got to show up. You got to get off the bus. You got to go out there and perform. And it's not going to just hand you the ball just because we've got a Williamson County name on our jerseys. Brentwood, Ravenwood, Battle of the Woods is also tonight. That's a huge game right there. If Ravenwood was to knock off Brentwood, that puts them a leg up on everybody because of the first loss to Brentwood. So now, any game. I mean, it's going to shake up a bag, pull out 4 names, and it's going to be a crazy wild finish, which is great for my seat. I hate it for you guys because I know it's long nights of film study, long nights. I know that your wives are like, it's only week 5 and we're ready to kick you out of the house. But it is what it is. It's part of the job. I'm sure they're very supportive. I'm saying that tongue in cheek. I would like to do a little quick section. Let's talk about recruiting right now. The kids you got, TJ Sheffield, big name, household name. Know that he's going to be visiting Alabama coming up. What is the interest level right now with that group? And kind of, he was committed to UT, not committed to UT. Can we get a top 3 list, or do we?
Probably, Alabama's obviously a big one. He's going to go down there and visit this week. Went to a camp during the summer with them, but he does have, probably the 3 biggest offers. UT, Penn State, and Stanford. So those are 3 that I know he's got a strong interest in. But he also has a strong interest in for Alabama, so it'll be interesting to see.
Who doesn't, right? I mean,
right,
come on.
right, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see.
Michigan has not come in on anything with him?
Not really, not yet.
Huh.
Not yet.
That's interesting. Coach Webb, you've got obviously some big-time names as well. Max Ray, Ohio State, that's solid, done. That's where he's planning on going. Anybody else on the team right now getting some looks possibly?
Landon Carter, the punter, he because I agree with Coach Blade, his punter as well can kick at the next level. It's such a different dynamic for those guys to break in. Yeah. And Landon, when he went to Sanford's camp this summer, at that camp was the best. He left because he had such a good day that day, and that's a lot of times how it works with kickers, and that's how Corey ended up at Missouri. He went out to Stanford and
blew it up.
Yes, and then I was like, man, I'd go out to.
I don't understand.
I'd go to California.
I don't see how some of those other SEC how some of those other SEC teams passed on him. I don't.
And because I learned myself in the process. A lot of them said we're not going to scholarship a punter unless it's a total need, and it was such a need for them at that point. And that's like for the same thing with Sanford. It's just a different level, but they're losing a punter who is a good punter, and so they're going to go find one, they said. And he did well at their camp, so he's got a chance.
That's interesting. All right, what about where are they now? Let's start with Independence. Nate Johnson, obviously at Michigan. How's he done up to this point?
Well, they moved him to DB, so it's a transition year for him.
That makes sense because I've been looking for him in the box scores and haven't seen anything on the receiver.
Changed his number. I believe it's 25 now. I may have got that wrong, but I know they moved him to DB, so that's a transition year for him. Rashawn Galton is doing well at UT. They moved. The safeties and corners. They kind of dual coach those guys, and so he played a lot of corner against Georgia Tech. Andrew Bunch, he's redshirting at Nebraska.
Landon Guidry at Mississippi State.
Yeah, he's redshirting this year. Finest Dribbling is a third-year redshirt junior and playing at Missouri. Then we have Finest, or that was Finest. His brother Kylan is a redshirt freshman at MTSU. So and we've got guys playing at Samford and Tennessee Tech. We have some guys.
One of the Huner boys are playing at Tech, right?
Seth Huner.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of guys all over the place. Vic Wharton is doing well at Cal Berkeley.
Just saw this week he was student
scholar
athlete
of the week, and he's got some great stats and doing some really good things out there on the West Coast. So a lot of good things happening to those former Eagles.
Caden Williams, he's with the Army. Is am I correct on that? And how's he doing?
Seems to be doing well now. He finally got his phone back because it's a different story.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different story when you go to West Point.
That's right.
He had to go through actual, boot
camp, right?
So,
and they don't get their phones or anything for how many? I mean, it's like
the football guys only go for 2. It's a 3-week period, but the football guys they pull out the last week. And but he's on the roster and with them and doing well. There's of course you've already mentioned Corey.
Yeah, right.
And then Joe Critchlow is at BYU.
I saw that. He got a little notoriety going through preseason stuff, getting some looks. I know that on the depth chart he's not quite up there yet, but hopefully as time goes on, he may have a chance to get up there.
And, I think so too. And Luke Hill is at Samford as a redshirt junior. I believe he'll either be a redshirt sophomore or he's a redshirt junior. And then the two that are at Memphis, and then Rossi, that's Gaka and Brown,
right?
That's at Memphis, and then Rossi, it's pretty cool, was the first freshman to get his stripes.
I saw that.
Pulled, he's walked on at Ohio State.
That's pretty cool.
I still don't know what some of these 1AA schools in this area. He was a good football player, and he just didn't fit the mold of where he's supposed to be, so he ended up walking on there.
Maybe you can have one of those stories, man. We'll watch a video of them coming in and giving him a scholarship, and they're going nuts, and him for getting some playing time. Well, good for him.
Yes.
Guys, it's been fun. Thanks. I mean, y'all going to fool around and educate me on football before this thing's over with. So, kickoff tonight, 7 o'clock at Independence. Huge Region 6A game. Franklin Rebels take on Independence. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
You're always trying to keep your kids safe, right? What about preventing concussion? Concussion can happen anywhere, on a sports field, at the park, even at home. So you need to know the ABCs. Assess the situation, be alert for signs and symptoms, and contact a healthcare professional. Most kids recover completely, but seek care to help them get better faster. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. Keep kids safe. It's as simple as ABC.
Reading the Day by Sandy Coomer. Before the book is opened on the day, I gaze upon the cover's bright design and listen to what words the morn might say as introduction to this storyline. As chapter follows chapter, there is pause to rest my eyes before the rising plot can fix me in some independent clause or capture me within some deed or thought. Some characters, some themes I've known before, but every word's arranged as something new, some passion, some deep lesson in the lore of living set for me to find, pursue. What little time to read the day, to learn its heart before the final page is turned.